Hi Ramesh, how are you today?
Hi, good to meet you, Esther.
Welcome to the Mini
Yep.
Maestros interview series. I'll just give a little introduction to our audience, a little bit about you. So, Ramesh is an award winning social worker. He's a global goodwill ambassador, early childhood teacher, and founder of the Shakti Scholarships, amongst many other things I've read about you. That's the short version. So, welcome to the interview series. And I'd just like you to introduce yourself to our audience. Let us know where you come from, what your biggest passions are, and what your personal life mission is.
Thank you, Esther. I'm Ramesh Shrestha and I'm originally from Nepal. My two biggest passions are social work and education. So I have been involved in these two sectors for the past 7 years and yep, many more years to go.
Yeah, what got you into early childhood education?
I used to be a teacher back in my country. I used to do lower secondary and primary level teaching,
Mm-hmm.
but I just felt like I was not teaching them the life skills that they really needed.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the things were theoretical. A lot of things that we were teaching were based on rote learning. So I wanted to give them like social skills, how to deal with their emotions, the things that really mattered. So I wanted to start from the foundation, and early childhood education really felt like the base. So that's how I got started with early childhood education.
Absolutely. It's so important to teach our little ones as early as we can, isn't it? So they can be prepared for the future. Especially these days, because the future keeps bringing bigger and bigger challenges, it seems like, around the
Of
world.
course.
Yeah,
It's been a couple of rough years for all of us.
I bet. Yeah. And this isn't one of my normal questions, but I just wanted to ask, how different is Australian early childhood education compared to Nepal?
I would say almost completely different,
Right.
because the way children are treated in Nepal and the way children are treated in Australia is very, very different. So um, in our country, in Nepal, I think both the countries have its own pros and cons. Like in Nepal, there's a whole um, village coming together to raise the child. There's uncles, there's aunt, their grandparents. But here, I think it's more like a nuclear family. But then the educational professional like childcare workers and occupational therapists. So it's more professional. But in Nepal, I think it's more personal. So
Right.
yeah, I think that's the key difference.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine. Wow. So, reading into your biography, I saw that you've conducted over 250 projects, events, workshops, and fundraisers while pursuing your goal to build a more fair, caring, and kind society. I loved reading that. They're all values that I personally stand for as well. So, what are some of the key takeaways you present when you're attending or running these events?
Um, so I think all the events or projects that I have run, the only thing that I have focused on is finding out a problem that's existing in the society or the community that really needs a solution, and working toward the solution and bringing out the solution in such a way that people find it engaging and they want to be part of it, and they are just inspired to take that step that they really needed
Yep.
toward the solution. So yeah,
And what are
that's
some of,
something
oh, sorry
that
to interrupt there.
all
What are
good.
some of the problems that you see that you really wish to find a solution for?
Educational inequality, I think that's a big one for me. So I really want to make education accessible for all, especially children in the remote parts of Nepal. So in many parts of Nepal, there's no school at all. So things like that. So I think I'm really passionate passionate about education, and another thing I am really passionate about is gender equality. So those are the two things that I really want to work toward.
Yeah. And how is that promoting and talking about that in Australia? Do you find you have a welcome audience for that, considering we're quite far away from Nepal here?
So I recently started something. It's been more than 6-7 months. So I started something called Sakti Scholarship. So you did mention about that before as well.
Yes.
So it's basically a scholarship program for disadvantaged and at-risk young girls in Nepal. So they are basically children in the remote parts of Nepal, and there's a bit of gender discrimination in the rural parts of Nepal. So we have started this scholarship, and I do have friends supporting that scholarship as well. So we are doing art scholarship projects. So we are doing art classes in remote public schools of Nepal, and we are also doing, so we recently did a workshop. It was about creating, so it was quite interesting. So the children made, so there were 18 participants, and they made biodegradable sanitary pads. So it was very engaging. So we collaborated with a local organization, and the children really enjoyed it, and they found it something that they would like to work in the future as well. So it was interesting.
Wow, that's fantastic. It's really valuable work that you're doing there. It's especially for people at a disadvantage and the girls there. It's fantastic that you're focusing on trying to help them. Is it difficult when you're based in Australia to run these endeavors when you're so far away?
So I donate 10% of my paycheck regularly. So I think the benefit of being in Australia is that the dollar to Nepalese rupees conversion is higher. So it just really helps. So $1 equals to 85 or 86 Nepalese rupees. So if I want to conduct project and sponsor a project, so the funds that I collect here just is almost like tenfold in Nepal, or
wow.
So it just helps. So I think, and I have a lot of friends and connections and networks who really support my projects, my ideas. So I think being in Australia and doing projects here in terms of education and trying to link it back to Nepal, so I think I have been able to connect broader audiences. So I think it has worked out really well.
That is really fantastic. That's it. And I'll ask at the end if you have any links for places people can go to show support. We can share them with this video as well.
Yeah.
So working in Australia, what do you see we need to here implement to make a positive change in early childhood education? Something you see is lacking here?
There are a few things that I think we can definitely do better. And I think the first step would be to pay educators more, because they put a lot of effort in it, and it's a female-dominated sector, and the pay gap is just ridiculous. Like, it shouldn't be that wide. So they work very hard. Like, they spend their whole day trying to nurture the children, trying to teach them skills and stuff, and the pay is not so good. So I think pay is something that Australia really needs to work toward. And I think the other one would be the amount of paperwork. So paperwork and documentation. I know, like, some of the paperworks and documentations are important, but it does take educators away from the meaningful interaction that they have with the children. Like, instead of sitting down with them, doing a story or reading a book or engaging with them, because they really need this attention and connection, because they are just a child. Like, they need this, they seek affection, and the attention that we give, that's how they develop their social skills. So I think that's another important thing. I would say those two things.
Absolutely. It's interesting you say that, because my mother works at TAFE as an English teacher, and she was saying to me the last week, actually, the the amount of paperwork is getting more and more, and she finds she loves being a teacher, and she's teaching migrants English and international students, and she said she feels so weighed down by this unnecessary paperwork. She just wants to focus on the students more, and they're not babies, but it's the same situation. It's like you shouldn't be weighed down by unnecessary, because it takes away your joy from the teaching as well, which you can pour everything into. Wow. Well, hopefully somebody at the government watches this video and does some changes for us. Okay, so you've been a guest speaker for multiple TAFE and Department of Education events for your contribution in the field of early childhood education. What do you see as your biggest contribution to early childhood education?
I think my biggest contribution would be promoting male educators in the industry, the sector. So I think that really helps balance the male to female ratio in the industry, and that's how, you know, people are like, okay, it's a profession, and yes, male can, you know, breaking that stereotype that, you know, male are supposed to be doing certain jobs, females are supposed to be doing certain jobs, which is not true. Like, what you enjoy and what you are passionate about, that's what you need to go for. So I think, so we also have this group called Thriving as Male Educators, where we have male educators from all over Australia, and we also have like admin from all the states. So it's a very engaging group, and because only 3% of the workers, the professionals in early childhood are males, like they do have their own unique challenges that they have to face. So we make sure that we encourage each other, we celebrate our small achievements, and, you know, just support each other and give meaningful advices. So it's going really well. So I think that's my biggest contribution in early childhood.
That's fantastic. Oh, you broke up a little bit when you said the name, so I'll just repeat that. That was Thriving as Male Educators Facebook group. And we'll also have some links to that as well. We have some male educators in Mini Maestros, so maybe they want to join. But you're right, it's a small proportion compared to the females, but fantastic that you're running that. How many members do you have now?
56 members.
Amazing. Well, you might have a few more after we share this with the Mini Maestros males. Fantastic. So we already talked a little bit about your Shakti Scholarships, which was empowering at-risk disadvantaged young girls in Nepal through education. Honestly, sounds like a fantastic endeavor. So is there something you can share so people can get to know more about it, where they can go to, and let us know?
We do have a Facebook page called Sakti Scholarship. So and I'm also very active in my LinkedIn profile. So if they want to connect with me or message me, and if they want to learn more, I'm always happy to connect.
Amazing. All right. Well, I'll leave some links at the bottom of this interview as well, so people can access it. So I read that one of your dreams is to open your own school in Nepal that promotes holistic development of children and provides education that has real life applications. So it sounds like you're already on the way to that with what you're doing with the scholarships. So how close do you feel you are to achieving it, and why is this your dream?
I'd like to share a small anecdote. So I was 7 years ago, I was teaching a class, and I had a student who came from a remote village of Nepal, and he was really struggling with all the subjects, and I was teaching algebra at that time, and out of nowhere so I used to teach him coaching and tutoring classes as well. So he asked me, all this that I'm learning, will I ever use it when I grow up? And that question really made a big difference in my life. It really made me reflect, like, is the education that I'm catering to my children, does it have real life implication? Does it have real life application? And I couldn't answer that, so I just decided that I needed to grow as a teacher. So that is one of the reasons why I came to Australia to study Bachelor's of Early Childhood Education. So I think as a teacher, it's my job to give an education to the children that makes them better and that prepares them for the real world. So that is one of the reasons why I want to open a school that provides holistic education.
Absolutely. And I was speaking to another interviewee about this also because the world is changing so fast. There's so many things we should update in the education system that would be more relevant. Personally, I've always cared about holistic well-being, so the whole being, so your mind, body, soul, your purpose, all of these things are so important. When I was younger, I remember challenging my father on this same subject. I remember coming back from school saying, I'm never going to use this, blah, blah, blah. And he just said, it was a good answer, actually, what he said. He said, look, you're at school to learn how to learn. It's not about the content. And I went, yeah, okay, well, why can't it be both? This is the thing. If we're there to learn how to learn, that's sure thing. But what about we learn something that's really useful as well?
True.
Yeah. I look forward to your school happening because I was supported all the way.
Thank you.
So if you had a superpower, what would it be and why?
If I had a superpower, I would want to be able to just remove people's self-doubt, like, be like, okay, now your self-doubt has been removed, because I have met so many people in this past few years, and they are so competent, they are more talented than me, and they are, skilled, but I think one thing that stops them for using their full potential is self-doubt. So I would really like to just remove that self-doubt, so they can reach their highest potential and contribute to the society. So
Wow, a confidence magic wand. That sounds great. I've never heard that one. And it's so true. I think we as humans, we get in our own way a lot, don't we? We overthink things, and we put our own hurdles in front of ourselves. That we're very complicated, strange beings, I often think. Love that answer. Do you have a book or documentary or movie that you highly recommend for parents of young children to read or watch?
I would say the Ron Clark Academy. So it's available on YouTube. So it's a movie about a school teacher as well. So I think it's so he also starts his own type of school later, but it's the passion of teaching children and just being there for them that's I find really inspiring. So
Fantastic. Excellent. Well, we'll share links to that as well. Are there any final words of wisdom you'd like to share with our audience?
I would say live a life that you will not regret. So just be passionate and keep dreaming and keep delivering.
I love that. No regrets. Give it everything you have. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, Ramesh, it's lovely speaking to you. Thank you for your lovely perspective, and honestly, thank you from the bottom of mine and everyone's heart for the good work you're doing for the world and society. It's really admirable.
Thank you for inviting me for this interview, and sorry for postponing the time. Like,
it's all
I
good.
know you had to rearrange your.
We got there in the end, so it's all good. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again another time, Ramesh.
Yep, see ya. Have a good day. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Bye.